Hi everybody, I'm Tim Bulot and welcome to WeaponsAcademy.com. Ammo shortage episode 3. So we are still in the middle of this coronavirus shutdown, and we are continuing on with our series on how to practice with a minimum amount of ammunition. So this week's episode, we're going to talk about trigger control. So this is a big one. As a firearms instructor, and I'm sure my fellow colleagues out there would agree with me, trigger control is one of the, if not the biggest error that we see, especially in new shooters, and you know what I'm talking about. The further away you get from your target, right-handed shooters, your impacts start drifting low into the left, and left-handed shooters, it's the opposite, low into the right. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Primary reason is being your sights are moving while you're pressing the trigger, okay? And the other is the kind of the cause of that is you're not isolating that trigger finger. The trigger finger is not part of the grip. The grip is not part of the trigger finger. Those two parts have to work independent from each other, and when they don't, things start to break down. Now, trigger control is as much mental effort as it is physical effort, okay? Drills will help identify the problem, but when it comes down to actually fixing the problem, that's got to be done by the shooter. And like I said, it's just as much as getting your mind into the game of not moving the sights, keeping the sights properly aligned, keeping the weapon oriented towards your target while you press the trigger. So I have a variety of drills that I generally go to work with shooters who are having problems in this area. In this episode, I've picked 3 of them. There's more, but I've only picked 3. So I'm going to take you through some slow drills using a minimum amount of ammunition to help you work on your trigger control. Okay, so today, while we're out here self-isolating, doing what we're supposed to do, right? We're going to work on some trigger control drills. Now, I've got 3 of them that I'm going to share with you. Trigger control drills, you know, that's kind of a problem area for a lot of shooters. Right-handed shooters will tend to shoot low left when their trigger control's off, and left-handed shooters will tend to shoot low and to the right. Now, we're only going to do 3. There's a lot more drills than that, but when it comes down to it, it's just as much mental effort as it is physical effort as well. It can be as simple as don't move the sights when you press the trigger. So if you can maintain a proper sight alignment and sight picture through the process of pressing the trigger, then you're going to get a good result, okay? So what happens when we don't get a good result is that process breaks down. So what we're going to do now is go through some drills to help isolate certain areas of that process to keep it from breaking down. The vast majority of students that I teach tend to carry striker type pistols, okay? And there's, you know, pretty much every major manufacturer makes a striker pistol these days, but I'm using a Glock, and I'm using a Glock Gen 5, okay? So this is checked and it's cleared, nothing in it, no magazine, okay? So one of the issues, and you know, it doesn't have to be an issue, but here's where the breakdown begins. With all these striker pistols, there's a certain amount of slack, okay, where what you're doing is you're driving the trigger bar to the rear, but you're not actually firing the pistol while you're pressing the trigger during the elimination of the slack, if that makes sense, okay? And so what we see down there is a breakdown of the, I don't want to say breakdown of the grip so much as the pressure that maintains the grip, and during the slack elimination phase of the trigger press, we cause the pistol to move, kind of like what you're seeing right here. So what's happening here, and even with a 2-hand grip, is I'm pressing the trigger, but I'm not using just the trigger finger. I'm using more of the muscles of the hand and the forearm, and the result of that is a breakdown of the process, okay? So, and if we look at it from the other side here, we can see that slack, okay? And during that slack is where we get that movement, all right? So what we're going to try to do is take the slack out of the equation. Now, I understand that, you know, shootouts and gunfights are fast and uncertain and rapidly evolving and all of that and so forth, but that's not where we're at right now. We're just on a basic exercise, and we're just trying to fix a trigger control issue here. So we're going to remove the variable of the slack in the trigger. So think about it like this. If I can basically stage this trigger by eliminating the slack until I feel it right on the break point, hold it, and then from here press the shot, okay, what I've done is reduce the amount of movement substantially, and thus again reducing that margin for error substantially as well. And that will allow us to basically stage the trigger. And if we do this sufficient number of times, and you know, over the period of time, this is something you want to repeat in the thousands. The amount of time that it takes to do that is going to reduce. But for just starting out, working on trigger control, remember, we're on limited ammo right now anyway, so we might as well isolate certain areas, okay? We're gonna do it a lot, all right? So, now if I reset the pistol, going with a two-hand grip, I also want to emphasize the placement of the thumb on my left hand. If you're a left-handed shooter, it'll be the opposite, okay? And by applying a sufficient amount of pressure to the side of the pistol here, not up on the slide, but right here on the frame, okay? If there is any movement in there, I can help to cancel that out by having that left thumb apply pressure there, okay? Now, I'm gonna bring it back around on this side so you can see. So if you can just kind of watch my trigger finger here. So what I'm gonna work on first is I'm gonna just eliminating the slack, pressing the shot. The pistol will cycle, and I'm gonna go from a cold start every time with this drill. Eliminate the slack, press the shot. Eliminate the slack, press the shot. And what we want to do is try to cancel this breakdown that occurs like this. Now that was slightly exaggerated, but had that been a shot on the range, that shot would have dropped low and to the left, okay? So once again, we want to eliminate the slack, press the shot, okay? And we want to stage the trigger in those two stages like that until we've gained a good amount of sensitivity and feel for the trigger on your particular weapon. Okay, so here's the drill for this first exercise here, and it's gonna involve some dry fire training. Now, you know, whatever weapon you're training with, some weapons, the majority of weapons you can dry fire and you're not going to cause any issue or any damage. There are some that manufacturers recommend you don't dry fire with it. I'll leave that up to you. But for me, with my Glock, I've dry fired hundreds of thousands of rounds with never an issue, okay? So, starting with an empty pistol first, okay? I'm going to cover down on my target. I'm going to perfectly align my sights. I'm going to eliminate the slack, and then I'm going to press the shot without moving the sights. Now, if that sight were to move, I should be able to see that easily, okay, in this drill. I'm going to action the pistol. Once again, nice firm grip, left side pressure with the thumb, eliminate the slack, press the shot. And I'm going from a cold start every time because that's the more difficult to do. Shooting multiple shots becomes, I don't want to say it's simpler, but there's less movement involved because the reset is a lot shorter after that, but it's the same process. So coming from that cold shot with the finger off the trigger, starting every time. Again, this is my third repetition. I'm going to eliminate the slack and press the shot. Okay, now all of this I'm doing, okay, I could do this at home. Just practice staging that trigger, okay? So what we're going to try to do is develop like a 3 or 5 to 1 ratio. 3 to 5 dry fires with 1 live fire, okay? So let's go to work. Okay, so we've got our eyes and ears on. All right, let's go to work. Starting with a safe and clear weapon. Eliminate the slack. Press the shot. Again, starting from a cold start, finger off the trigger. Eliminate the slack. Press the shot. Again, eliminate the slack, press the shot. Okay, now that's 3. Let's go with 1 live fire. Okay, pistol is hot, on target, eliminate the slack, press the shot. Good center mass hit. Okay, we're going to keep working that. Eliminate the slack, press. And eliminate right until I feel that trigger on the break point there, okay? So my trigger press is only from the break point. Now for my live fire, another good center mass hit, okay? So what we would do is just continue that drill. Stay with it until you're where that you want to be, okay? And after that, you'll start just rounding the corners, as we say, as you start just slowly working through it. For me, that never completely goes away, but it just picks up over time to where you do it without stopping, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's our first drill. All right, and like I said, develop a 3 dry fire to 1 live fire, or 3 to 5 dry fire to 1 live fire, and repeat it until you've eliminated the movement, the excess movement in your grip during the process of actioning the trigger. Okay, this next drill is going to involve a spent brass casing, okay? And once again, I'm just working with the dry pistol. All right, so this is going to be another ratio. You want to go 3 to 1, 5 to 1, whatever works for you, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to imagine that this case of brass is filled with water. Now, this is an old drill. It's been around for a while, but I still use it because it helps put a different perspective on trigger control for the shooter. Now, keeping in mind the drill that we just completed, we're still going to stage the trigger. We're still going to eliminate that slack, a slight pause, and then press the shot, okay? But what I'm going to do is start with a slide forward. I'm going to balance this piece of brass on the top of my slide. From here, I'm going to punch out to the target and put all of my focus on that piece of brass. From this position, without spilling a drop of water, imaginary of course, I'm going to eliminate the slack, press the shot, holding it perfectly steady. Now recover the brass without putting your hand in front of the barrel. You always want to adhere to the good safety rules. Action the slide. Let's do it again. Okay, weapon is forward. Focus, focus, focus. Not a drop of water is spilled. Eliminate the slack. Press the shot. Okay, we would do that 3 to 5 times. And then we're going to repeat that with a single round. Same drill, same energy, perfectly align the sights. Eliminate the and press that shot. Good center mass hit on that, okay? Starting to work for me. Practice that a few hundred times during your self-isolation phase and see what you can get out of it. Now, again, if you're at home, you don't need to do the live shot. Just focus on that basic fundamental of staging the trigger, and by adding the brass, it's just another focus point. That's all it is. It's just another stimulus to give you something to think about. Imagine it's full of water and you want to press that shot without spilling a drop. Give it a try. 1. Good. Again. Again. Dilo directa. Excellent. 1 live. Okay, this next drill involves using either an older double single action pistol, or you can even do it with a revolver. Okay, in this case I'm going to use an older Beretta 92, and the reason I'm using this is because it does have such a long trigger pull. We want that trigger pull because we're going to have the long double action trigger pull from the Beretta train the finger for the Glock, if that makes sense. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and let the slide forward. I'm going to decock this pistol because I want the length of the trigger pull, okay? And then when I align and cover down on my target, all right, I'm going to slowly action that trigger all the way to the rear without moving the sight, and I'm going to fire that shot all the way slow, slow, slow until it breaks. And basically, I don't know exactly when it's going to break, okay? I'm going to do it again. And I would fire 3 shots with the double action pistol, decocking between shots to 1 shot with the Glock or the striker pistol. Still, when you work your Glock or your striker pistol, you still want to stage the trigger, eliminate the slack, and then press the shot, okay? But by going into it with your last bit of sensitivity coming off the long double action trigger pull, it should help more for, you know, I don't want to use the term so much surprised break, but then again, you're not exactly sure, and you're helping your mind to resist that excess movement, or the flinching or the jerking, whatever you want to call it, upon the detonation of the round. Okay, so let's give this one a try. Okay, so I'm just working off a bench rest, and you know, if you're in an indoor range, this is what you're going to have anyway, so this will work for you. All right, so I've got 3 rounds in the Beretta. I've got 1 round in the Glock, staying with my 3-to-1 ratio, and I'm going to fire 3 double action shots with the Beretta, and then I'm going to carry that energy into the Glock, going from a very long trigger pull to basically no trigger press whatsoever, and let's see what a difference it makes, okay? All right, good two-handed position. Here we go. Slowly work that trigger to the rear. Hold the sight steady. Okay, decock. Let's do it again. Decock, got just a little bit of movement on that. Let's do it again. Good, nice hit. Okay, this weapon's safe and clear. And now, with the Beretta, or with the Glock, eliminate the slack. Nice center mass hit. I mean, I didn't even really feel that. And that's basically where you want to get with this, okay? So if you'll repeat that drill several times, I use 4 shots on that drill, okay? So I could come out here, spend a good half hour practicing these 3 drills, and maybe use 20, 25 rounds, all right? So with that last one right there, and like I said, you can do it with a revolver also, if you happen to have that. It's just an idea, but for me, over the years, I found it to be helpful, and I found it to be helpful for some students. If I have a student that's taking an extended course and they're having trouble with that trigger control, I'll basically put them on, you know, a home assignment, so to speak. You know, they're going to stay late and they're going to work this drill and perhaps the other ones. Now, there's more than these 3, but these are just 3 of my favorites that don't require a lot of ammunition, and it's something you can actually dry fire in your home all the same. So anyway, take these and play with them for a while and see what you can come up with for better trigger control. Decock, recock. Number 2. Decock, recock, go to straight finger. Number 3. Okay, check it, place it on the table, and 1 with the striker pistol. Remember, eliminate the slack, press the shot. Perfect, center mass.
Didn't even feel it.
So even advanced shooters can benefit by working drills such as this. I know, and if you're one of those that falls into that category of, your shot stringing low left, you're not alone. A high shot, it's easy to correct. Shots to the right, easy to correct. I'm talking about right-handed shooters. Left-handed, you'll be just the opposite. But if you take a break from shooting and then you get back into it, it can be as much as a couple of weeks, maybe a month or so. You lose that sensitivity with the trigger of your weapon, and you start to see the breakdown. So just running a few slow-fire drills like this will help you to maintain that. Now, especially during the current situation when we're trying to conserve as much ammo as possible. Take advantage of the downtime to work on your fundamentals. If you don't have a place to go live fire these drills right now, don't live fire them. Just practice them at home doing the dry fire part of it. Just please be safe on where you orient your weapon. I always dry fire in front of my fireplace because I figure that's the strongest part of the house, and a round would have to pass through more material to exit the house. But don't let it get that far. Double, triple check your weapon and go through your clearing procedures. But anyway, work with these drills. I hope you see some improvement in trigger control. And like I said, if you're an intermediate or advanced shooter, work on them anyway. You're going to find that they're going to help you with your marksmanship all the way around. So I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Remember, if you're not training, you ought to be. And if you're not training at Weapons Academy, come check us out and see what we're doing. Y'all stay safe and stay healthy.